Peace and blessings, family. What's up? It's all the daydreamers out there. Please live it. Don't sleep through this thing. So I want to talk about an app that I have had for a while that I've really just now started to dive deep into. I've kind of teetered with it, but now I'm really getting into the nitty gritty of it to learn it a little bit more. And it's called Final Touch by Positive Grid. It's a mastering suite for music engineers or for your home-based music producer that uses their iPad as a music production suite and as their music production studio, rather, and also artists trying to release their music in the most professional way that they possibly can at the budget that they're dealing with. So we're like the music producer slash artist slash music engineer slash music this slash 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 slash. We're like wearing many hats type thing. If you do music on your iPad, this would be a great option to look into as an alternative in your mixing and mastering chain. This is not for mixing. This is for that final touch, that mastering section. If you want to try to dive into that and add a certain polish to your mixes before releasing them. So don't think that this is for mixing. This is not for quote unquote mixing. Mixing should happen prior to this step. This is to add that mastering concept to your music. All right. So let's go ahead and look at it real quick, and then I'll give you a couple of things that I like about it, and then I'm gonna give you a few suggestions to Positive Grid, hopefully if they see this video and everything. So let's go ahead and dive into it real quick. This is the interface right here. It's beautiful interface. Love the way it looks, man. And you have at the bottom of it, you have 6 different links in the chains, right? Six different effects. Of course, you got your pre-EQ, and you want to listen, make those subtle tweaks. Of course, again, this is not a mixing option. You're just adding subtle tweaks to it that you really want to add. So if you've done your job right in the mixing part, then it's going to be very subtle movements within the EQing part. Reverb, if you want to add some form of sound to it or give it a specific sound that you want to put out there. Of course, you got your dynamics, which is just really dealing with compression in different frequency bands. And you can change your frequency bands as you see fit to where it'll affect it. And again, subtle changes in movements, nothing really major, nothing really big that you would end up having to do in order to make the proper effect that you want to the music that you're creating. And when I tell you the subtle actually is noticeable, the subtle is noticeable. That's how dope this thing is, man. Of course, you got your stereo imaging. If you want to make the sound just a little bit wider, if you want to kind of condense it and kind of bring it all together to where it sounds a little bit more. I use different type of terminology. Like it's almost like it's enclosed, claustrophobic. It gives it a more muddy sound. It gives it a more sound, right? If that's what you're looking for. Or do you want it to be a wider sound? How wide do you want it? You got that option. The only thing I will say about the stereo imaging is over here where it says mono filter, where you got, so if you take it up, the higher you take it, it's going to add this crackling sound, and it's extremely aggravating. So I don't know if that's the mix I have in here, or if it's just the app itself. I haven't heard it. Now I've heard it, exported my songs, and I did not hear it in the export. So I don't know. It's probably just the app itself. But Positive Grid, look into that if other people are having that issue, because it is aggravating to have that in your ear while you're trying to get the sound that you want. Now you're competing with something that's being added to it that, when I exported the actual mix or the final master, it wasn't in there, but it's present while I'm trying to put the pieces to the puzzle together. Post EQ, of course, after pre EQ, reverb, dynamics, and stereo imaging. Post EQ, where if something was removed during the process, if you heard it, you can kind of subtly add it, or if something was added, you can kind of subtly remove it. And again, it's subtle. You don't need to do big swoops, or you, unless that's what you want, because you know the rules are meant to be broken in music engineering. But for the most part, at this stage, you're not doing 6 dB, 4 dB movements or anything like that. You're really doing subtle movements to make this thing happen. I know right here at 5, I got a dip that's at 1.46 dB. right? It's like real small, and even that probably might be too much. You might want to back that back up or anything like that, but it doesn't take a lot, and it picks up very, very well when you start to make those movements. And that's what I'm noticing about this. And of course, as I stated about the maximizer, this is where everything comes together and the glue is added to it. The dithering type, the dither amount, and the noise shaping, I haven't figured that out yet, so I'm not going to speak on that. But for those of you who understand those things, it's right there for you guys to be able to use to manipulate how you know how to do it and see fit. Let's go to some other things. At the top, of course, you got your rewind button, you got your play button, of course, you got your undo and redo and everything like that. You got your settings to where you can change certain things that you want to change. It's nothing really to change that I see. So I always leave that alone. But now let's get into the other side. On the left-hand side, you have where you got your import button, where you can import from iTunes, and of course you have to purchase the music from iTunes in order to use it. So if you're just paying for the streaming services, you're not going to be able to do this. It has to be actually downloaded and bought. You got Dropbox, FTP, file sharing, audio paste, and audio share. I use audio share for the export, but what I noticed is I use Cubase's 3 as my DAW, right? As my DAW. And I can export from the mixed down folder within the Cubase's app. I can export and share directly into this app. So I don't have to download it into there, leave out of Cubase's, go into something else and do it. No, I can get it together. I can share directly from Cubase's 3 inside the app. I absolutely love that. One less step in the process, one less file being shared on my storage, eating up space. Love it, right? So with that, you got your options of different songs that you've created and stuff like that. Then you got your export, and you export into the same places. But the next option that they got that is added is, of course, you can export as an email, which is pretty cool and everything. I haven't tried to use that, but I think I'll use that the next time I do a mix and I share it out. But of course, I export into audio share, where I'm saving all my files in regards to what I'm creating right here. Now let's get into some of the things that are good and that are bad about this. Everything that I just described is the good, but there's other little things. So let's say, for instance, if you're mixing or rather adding your touches to it, and what ends up happening is you take it, you go listen to it, and then you're like, okay, this is really dope. Okay, let me go back and make some changes, because I heard too much in the low end. I heard too much in the highs. It's not enough mids, or whatever the case may be. I want it to be wider, so I want to mess with the stereo imaging and stuff. And you go back in and you say, I want to make some changes to this mix. You go in there and you start to make the changes, because once you pull it back up, it's going to pull back up where you left off at. And you go to make those changes. Here's the thing. You need to make sure that you save that preset before you exit out. Before you even export, save that preset. So down there on the bottom right corner, you can press preset. You can the name of this song is called Off the Green Box. So if I select Off the Green Box, I can hit save as, and I'll save it as version 6, version 10. However you want to do it, that's up to you, right? So you can do that, and you can add folders, and that add is just to add more folders and stuff like that. And all these are different presets that you got that are already in there that you can actually select and use if you so choose to, right? But the reason why you want to save that preset is so that right here, you're not having mix down 1, mix down 4, mix down 5, mix down 6, mix down 2 over and over again. Now, those mix downs are from Cubase's, where I had to go back into Cubase to make some changes and adjustments and stuff like that. But you don't want to have multiple savings of the same song over and over again, eating up space and everything like that. Like, I can go back and delete all those old ones, because those old ones are not going to be used or anything like that. But at the end of the day, they're still there. But what you're going to do is that, so since I'm using Off the Green Box Mix Down 06, so I'll just go to my preset and select, go to my presets and select what options I want, or what preset I want to use, to kind of bounce between to see which ones I like. And then if I make a new settings that changes the dynamics of the sound, but I'm going to save that again as 06, go out into the real world, listen to it in my earbuds and in my car and whatever other systems I want to listen to it, see how it all sounds. Okay, it still needs some work. I'm going to come back, make my tweaks, but save it again at 07. Now, here's where the suggestion comes in, right? Instead of having to go, like, if I'm listening to this and I wanted to listen between different preset sounds that I've got or touches that I've made or mixes or whatever you want to call it, right? I have to go to preset, go to off the green box, select the version, come out, press play, listen. All right, let me go check it out on the other one. I got to press preset again, go back to off the green box, select the next one and listen to it. Put a button on there where you can select that option. You can load it up as the preset 1, preset 2, preset 3, and you press the button where you listen to it, and in real time, press the next button to listen to it again. Listen to the next option. Press the button to listen to the third option, or just 2 options. Being able to select between 2 would be better than having to go through what you're having to go through to listen to the different presets that you've made and stuff like that. It's a lot more effective and efficient to work that way. So that would be great to have. It's still dope that you can save the presets and have them there and go back and select those. But in that real time usage of listening to how it sounds between each other, it would be so much better. Suggestion number 2, add a reference track to this, man. Add the ability to listen to a reference track to this. Many of us in this home-based environment, we have to, and even many who are professional engineers, they listen to reference tracks as they master songs or even as they mix songs. Why? Excuse me. Why? So that they can know that this thing is sitting where they want it to sit. But not only that, their client might have a specific sound that they want because of an artist that they listen to and they love the way that it sounds. You got to match to that sound and to have that reference track inside the actual interface itself, the ability to listen. And it doesn't have to be in the WAV file that you see right here. It can simply be just a loaded up reference track, hit play. Let's get it in, man. And you can just stop it, press play to listen to that reference track. All right. Let me go back to what I'm working on to see if it's matching up anywhere to that. That would be dope. Right now, there is no ability to have a reference track, at least from what I see that's on here. Now, you might be able to and I was just going to say, you could probably go into what you imported and select, but you really can't. You will probably have to select it, upload it, make sure all your effects are off, and then listening to it from there. But again, that's taking you out of the element in order to do all that, man. That's just too much work. So add a reference track option into this thing, and that will be excellent. Last thing, and this is the last suggestion that I have. The ability, so you can take your finger and go across and put this at the select point that you want to put it at, which is great, right? Which is awesome and everything like that. But the only issue is once you stop playing it, it goes all the way back to the beginning, right? It goes all the way back to the beginning. Let me see. And no name on this tune. Stop. It goes all the way back to the beginning, as you can see. Just pay attention to that bar. I'm going to slide it over and press play. It's playing right now. I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit pause. Now, I'm so fired. Pause, and it stays right there. Real time learning something. Let's see what happens when I press play. Okay, it keeps playing from the same spot. Pause, playing from the same spot, and then I can slide it over. But here's the thing that I wanted to get at when it comes to this. Hear me out. A loop section to put into this thing. So you typically want to take it sometimes to the loudest part or to the quietest part, but wherever section you want to take it to, you can select a loop option to where it loops. And so you're not having to touch it and put it back where you want it. Touch it in and put it back where you want it. Again, less movements, more effective, more efficient, having the ability to have it loop right there over and over again as you listen and make the necessary tweaks. And as you're listening to that loop, you're also making those different final touch selection, final touch 1, final touch 2, final touch 3, okay? And then you're making those necessary adjustments and everything. As you're listening to the loop, go back and forth, go over and over again. So, number 1, the ability to have a reference track. Number 2, the ability to loop between, have a loop within this WAV file up there. Number 3, the ability to have a selection option for the different presets that you have so you can bounce back and forth in between listening to those things. Other than that, this is a great app. If you're into mobile editing, if you're using your iPad for anything music production wise, add this to your arsenal. I'm not no master at it. I'm still learning this craft of music engineering, but I'm loving the journey that I am on. I just enjoy to do it, man. I just enjoy doing it, man. So much love and respect. Y'all be safe out there, man. This your boy Sleep. Peace.